Hey guys, welcome back to the Kool-Aid Podcast. Welcome back to season 2 of episode 73. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the transfer deadline day. There were some massive moments in the transfer market. We had Enzo Fernandez, the most expensive Premier League transfer of all time, going to Chelsea, 120 million euros. We had Hakim Ziyech. His deal completely collapsed. He's not going to PSG. We also saw Joao Cancelo go to Bayern. Some tensions between him and Pep. We also are going to talk about the Barca transfer news, of course, since this is a Barca channel. Bellerin left. Rumor, unfortunately, we didn't get Amrabat, but we also we rumored with Araujo, a young 21-year-old right back from the MLS, Mexican right back. We're going to be diving into it. So, guys, first topic of the before we start, guys, remember on Twitter at Kool-Aid Podcast Sent, I post a link. If any of you guys want to join, basically like discuss with us, you're always welcome. Just go on Twitter, Kool-Aid Podcast 10, click the link, and then you'll be able to basically like hop in and basically discuss with us. But guys, first transfer. I think this was like the transfer of the day. Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea, World Cup winner, Golden Boy. I think that's what the award was called, or like the World Cup Young Player Award. I think that's what it says. Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts on that transfer?
Somebody needs to investigate Chelsea and their books because, like, what the heck? How are they doing this? What are they doing?
Yeah, no, it's honestly so crazy that Chelsea has spent, I believe, over 400 million pounds
in this transfer. Okay, combined in the last two transfer windows, they spent 700 million.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Do you understand? Okay. Let's say with that number for a second.
700 million.
No, but that's not even the impressive one. It's 400 million in one transfer window.
Yeah. No, but you think about it, when you're like playing FIFA and then you're on the deadline day and you see how much every team has spent, that's the number that usually is. One team has windows. That is like, bro, what?
It's crazy.
Listen. I'll admit I'm a big Chelsea hater because I'm a Spurs fan, but that is some amazing business we're doing. I don't know how legitimate this all is, whether it's whether Bowley is either lying about their income, or I don't know what he's doing, but it's good business, man. That Chelsea squad is looking terrifying right now.
Well, actually, I can debate with you on that if it's good business. Because okay, we can say that Enzo Fernandez.
Well, it's good transfers for sure. There's a lot of young, promising players. To be fair, and they did offer Jorginho, who's an aging player who's not playing at top level anymore.
Okay. Are we gonna be talking about Enzo specifically, or are you talking about like Chelsea's like entire?
Well, no, I mean Enzo himself. I think that's a phenomenal transfer for Chelsea. They needed it. Chelsea's midfield has been their weakest point.
Is he worth the 120 million?
Listen, nowadays it doesn't matter what you're worth. If Messi would have been sold in 2012 or 2013 when he was at his prime, I would say he would have been a 400 million player.
Oh my god! Like back then, like people were already offering like 300 million for him.
Right, but I look, think of it this way. I believe Gareth Bale to Madrid, it was what, like
100, like 90 around there.
It was like 90 million.
Yeah, like 90.
Right. We see that price tag nowadays. We're like, okay, it's a good player. But listen, Gareth Bale in his prime was a monster.
Yeah, Gareth Bale was
this guy was
from Madrid. Even though the way it was supposed to, he's still a club legend over there.
People like to focus at the end of his career, but he was a monster. And at Spurs and Madrid, and you think of it, nowadays that you get a good player for that amount of money, but you're not getting the best.
Right.
Do I think Enzo Fernandez is worth 120 million? Doesn't really matter what I think, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the price of a player is going to be two things, essentially three things, right? Their ability, of course, like how good they are, how much they're worth to the club, how important they are, and the third one that's bigger than what people think is hype. How hype of a player are you? In other words, 3 seasons ago, when Jack Grealish went from Aston Villa to Man City, there were too many factors that inflated his price tag. The first one, he was their best player by far. By far, he was carrying that team. And the second one is that, I would say he had a decent run in the Euros. He played well with them, so people say, "Oh, this guy's crazy." But of course, we all know he wasn't worth the 100 million. At least I speak for. I think I speak for all of us when I say I don't think Jack Grealish was ever worth 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think Enzo Fernandez is a great player. He's proven himself at, I would say, the most difficult stage, which is a World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
At such a young age, it takes a lot, and I don't know. I think he'll do good in Chelsea. I hope so. I'm a big fan of him, and I don't know, but 120 million, like I said, nowadays it's just numbers. I can't think of a price tag where I'm like, wow, it's a lot of money. I mean, it obviously is, but I guess it just doesn't phase me anymore.
I think that specifically to the Premier League, because for example, any other team and you're spending that amount of money, the player has to, like, it has to work out. It has to. Especially, for example, if Barcelona were to spend that much money on a single player, that player has to like revolutionize the club.
Messi region.
Exactly, because like that's an insane, especially in like the financial circumstances that we are in, that we're in. The strict La Liga financial rules, the FFP, all of that. It's a whole convoluted. But I want to get your thoughts on Chelsea spending as a whole, especially specifically what they've done this summer. I mean, this January transfer window and last summer.
All right, I want to go ahead and start off by saying that number that was thrown out. What is it, 700?
Yeah.
When you look and you make a team now with all these new additions, you look at the squad and 600, 700 million, and outside of, for my opinion, Enzo Fernandez and Murdic, the Ukrainian, those two players were worth the money. Everyone else, you ask yourself, how did this add up to 600 million? In my opinion, what Chelsea has done, their spending strategy was a complete overreaction by a new owner who just took control of a team for the first time, doesn't know how to run a team. They're in 10th place, and he overreacted, and he's panic bought all these players. Because if you look at their injuries right now, you've got Pulisic injured, Sterling injured, and N'Golo Kante injured. You add those three players into the squad, there's no need to spend 600 million. I think that's why this spending happened, and I genuinely believe it's going to bite them in the butt one day.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Like, obviously at the beginning I said that was great business because yes, in the desperation of the fans seeing new players coming in, it's a huge sigh of relief. But you obviously got to think long term, and that's what you're saying. I don't think Chelsea has always been a club with money. They've always had rich owners and owners that are willing to spend. Which at the end of the day, being willing to spend is a good thing, but you got to spend it responsibly. And we have a bit of history with that ourselves.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
But yeah, no, I think it's excessive. What you're saying is true. Chelsea overall, they have a good quality team. They have the players. I just think they've been extremely unlucky this season with all the injuries mounting up at the same time, and it's been hard. And they've also had players like Mason Mount who haven't been at the top of their game.
Right.
And I just think overall they've just been unlucky. But again, I gotta agree with you. I think 700 million.
Yeah, you have to repeat that number first. You have to repeat that number.
700 million. You didn't buy Messi. You didn't buy Ronaldo. You didn't buy Neymar. You bought good players, and I'll be like
700 million
are good players, but
guys, we last summer we spent 150. 150. We bought Lewandowski, Kunde, Rafinha, Christensen, Kessie, all of these players, Bellerin, 7 players that we brought.
I think that's some of the best business I've seen in recent years.
Yeah, or 150 million, guys, and 700 million. 700. I want you to repeat that number over and over. Now, my thoughts on Chelsea spending. I think this is a massive gamble from Todd Bowley. What Todd Bowley is doing right now is he is basically buying potential, young players.
Yeah.
He's doing a massive rebuild in one transfer window, spending all, and betting on potential. Because you have all these players on extremely long contracts, basically baseball contracts, 7, 8, 9 years.
Contracts.
That you do not see that anywhere else in football. And what Chelsea's doing to be able to pay for all this, to like basically navigate financial fair play, is they're basically paying small fees and over a large period of time. In those 9 years, they're spreading out the cost. So that's what Chelsea is doing.
They just implemented. They basically implemented American sport tactics into.
Yeah, exactly. It's what Todd Bowlen doing.
That's literally what it is.
And there's no guarantee that this is gonna work. There's no guarantee that spending so much money on these players is gonna work out.
There is one guarantee, and that the guarantee is that it's not gonna work with these long contracts. There was an interview clip on Twitter that I saw with Pep Guardiola talking to Rio Ferdinand, and they got brought up because of what he did with Joao Cancelo getting him going to Bayern. And he was basically he asked Rio Ferdinand, he was like, how many premierships did you win? And Rio said 4, however many he won. And he said, from the first premiership that you won to the last one, was your squad the same? And Pep was basically praising, he's got to switch out his squad. He's got to change it up. And you're talking like this, you got to change up your squad. You can't stay with the same players the entire time. These 9-year, 10-year contracts, that's going to be the Achilles heel to this Chelsea team. They're not going to be able to switch up those contracts. No team don't want to take on that contract.
Yeah, and top of the players on the players at Chelsea bought, they're on high wages that
they're kids.
Exactly.
They're kids. How do you expect a 20-something-year-old to say, yeah, for sure, I'll stay at this team for 9 years? What happens if Chelsea are a relegation battle team, which I doubt? But what happens if it gets to that? You think anyone wants to play for them?
Yeah, exactly.
Again, not that I think it'll get to that, but right now they're a mid-table team.
They're gonna they have the potential to stay out of Champions League for 3-4 seasons in a row. That's where they're at right now. If that's how bad I think it can get.
Okay. Now, when you look at Chelsea, what are the expectations for next season? My expectations with the amount of spending that Chelsea have done,
they gotta be title contenders.
Compete on all fronts, all 4 fronts. They have to.
They have to
go far in the.
They gotta be
competitions.
Domestic cup finalists.
Yep.
They gotta be top 3, arguably top 2, because you're spending all that money. Top two. They have to be up there, giving hell to whoever's going for the.
No, they have to be title contenders.
And 3, and I think is the most important one. They gotta win silverware.
Yeah,
they gotta win something. They gotta win something. You can't just tell your fans, listen, we almost wasted $1 billion, but guess what? We didn't win anything.
Yeah, you know that you could buy small countries with that amount of money, right?
Yeah, dude.
You put that amount of money into a country like Cuba, yourself, like and that one hit home, but it's true.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But overall, no.
Yeah, overall, I think I would have to give Chelsea's business a 6 out of 10, just because yes, they brought in players and they reinforced positions where they were lacking, but it's a gamble. It's a huge gamble, like what you were saying. And
it's a huge
will it work? I mean, I don't wish ill on any team aside from Arsenal, but all jokes aside, I hope it works out for them, because they're gonna be in financial ruin. They're gonna be Juventus basically.
Well, the only reason why I would disagree with you is because the Premier League is different to any other league. Just because of the amount of money that is being spent on the league and the amount of money that's coming in. For example, we're going to talk about this later, but the amount of money that, for example, relegation teams in the Prem have, mid-table teams, a player, for example, that is in Nottingham Forest, Leeds United, players that play in the Champions League, in the top, for example, in Atletico, in the top 3 in the other leagues, in Serie A, La Liga, or even the Bundesliga, they're going to these relegation teams in the Premier League or mid-table clubs just because they're being paid so much more. The wages that the mid-table players are playing, or like the money that's in the Premier League, is so much. It's double, triple the money that's in the other leagues. Just an example of this: La Liga has spent 20 million in this January transfer window. 20 million. The Premier League has spent.
It was quiet, to be fair.
Yeah, the Premier League has spent 763 million.
Insane, dude.
That gap is enormous.
More than half of it came from Chelsea too.
Yeah, exactly. More than half of it came from Chelsea. And now I want to go into the next topic, the Super League. A lot of fans were complaining about how we can't have this because they have all the controls. When you think about it, the Premier League is the modern day Super League, because there's like so much money, and that's being circulating throughout the league. I don't think any other league can compete with that.
Yes, but then you have the big equalizer, which is the Champions League. Premier League teams are historically not good in the competition. And essentially, I think it's the best stage where not that the teams get humbled, but that the fans can appreciate other teams and appreciate other leagues and invest into that. I think ultimately, yes, the Premier League is maybe more entertaining. They do put more money in. So it's also, I think, the most competitive. You have teams always competing for Champions League. And, in leagues like Spain, yes, it's competitive too, but the top three is usually the top three. You get me?
Yeah.
Barca, Madrid, Atletico. And, it's so on and so forth for other leagues. I think Serie A is pretty competitive too. But I don't know. It's a lot of money going in there. But I think, yeah, obviously there's no need for the Super League because the Prem is the modern day one. But at the same time, I think it doesn't really matter in the long run because the Prem doesn't dominate world football.
No, but what happened
Like
if
it does, but
it
it
does?
doesn't. It
Yeah,
doesn't win big.
no, but for example, just recently, Weston McKennie from Juventus,
Yeah,
a
to Leeds.
historic club, went to Leeds United.
Well, you
was
got to
with-
consider something though. Leeds United is a team that will very soon be a Champions League competitor. It'll be a team that will start qualifying for top four. Listen,
okay,
yes,
okay, but still,
Leeds
just
is a big squad.
just think about this. One of, or if not the biggest club in Italy, you're leaving for a team that's in mid-table.
Yeah, but have you considered sometimes players want to play in a more competitive scene, and also he has a lot of teammates in Leeds.
He does.
Okay. Another example.
Tyler Adams being one of them.
Keylor Navas leaving PSG to join Nottingham Forest.
At PSG. Keylor Navas wants to play though. That one's a little bit different.
That's a no-brainer. He's getting zero play time in PSG.
No, exactly. He has zero time, but I'm just giving examples of like, hey.
No, I get it.
Saying for sure. But also with the Weston McKennie thing, like the whole financial ruin that's going on with Juventus, they're a historical club, but they're going through it right now. We saw the same thing. How many players left Barca? We lost Messi because of the financial stuff that we were going through. So to see Weston McKennie leave to go to Leeds, it made sense. It made sense on a lot of fronts.
And also, listen, Juventus is having like legal issues. Like, I believe it was Nedved. Patrici from Spurs. He also is going to jail. Well, I don't know if it's jail time or they're just banned from football. I think it's both in some cases. It's insane. And it's definitely a tough situation. So I can understand it. But overall, you look at talking about transfers in the Prem that I thought were also interesting. You have one that I found very interesting today was Jorginho going to Arsenal.
I was just about to mention that here.
I mainly found it surprising because Arsenal don't really need him. Like when you think about it, Partey is doing pretty good so far, and you have Odegaard too in that midfield. Like I don't know. Like to me, it seems it's a good option to have because he's a quality player. But Chelsea losing him wasn't the best business.
I think the main thing, the best part for Arsenal getting Jorginho was depth in the bench. I feel like one main critique of Arsenal, and I've been telling people, if Arsenal were to lose out on the league, was because of their bench depth. So that signing for me was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was good for them. But for the bench, I don't know though, because at the same time, Jorginho's never been a bench player. So will he be able to adapt to not getting the medicine? That's a big thing to consider too.
And then you also have to think about the style of play that Arteta like to play, having that possession-based style of football that he likes to replicate, just like how the system was under Pep in Manchester City. Would Jorginho thrive in that possession-based system?
I think so, because I remember watching Chelsea under Tuchel, and at some points, against some teams, they were in fact possession dominant.
Yeah,
and now obviously I'm not saying that was Tuchel's entire style. He played, it was different, but I think Jorginho can do fine. He's a good player he plays very well under pressure, so he's fine with teams with keeping possession and being pressed. Now another thing that I found very interesting was Trossard. Leandro Trossard.
Oh, yep.
That was another transfer that they're definitely building depth.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was just about to mention that Arsenal are doing very well in their signings right now. Jorginho, I believe it was 10 million. It's not that much. If Jorginho,
it's great money for him.
Exactly, it's a great deal because if he works out, if he adds some depth into the squad, if he can basically rest Partey, rest some key players in that squad, that's perfect. You just rotating minutes. And if he doesn't work out, if he turns out to be a flop, It's only 10 million. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, you're not losing a lot of money.
Exactly. And in the summer, you can go big. For example, unfortunately, the deal didn't go through, but Caicedo from Brighton, he didn't go to Arsenal. Arsenal, I think, believed they bid 70 million, something like that. And Brighton was holding off for 100 mil, and he didn't go.
I think
But
good, man.
yeah, exactly. And it's true because Brighton have had really good a scouting network. They have had really good scouts.
Are we gonna talk about Mitoma?
Mitoma from the J League.
Are we gonna talk about the professor out here teaching about dribbling?
Exactly.
On dribbling.
Mitoma, McAllister,
So,
Caicedo.
the thing I always like about Brighton, every couple seasons or every 3 seasons, Brighton will just have this insanely skilled team that no one looks out for, and they always do well. When they were under Graham Potter, they had Cucurella, and they were well, not just him obviously, but they have flashy players in their team. Even Danny Welbeck, like scoring. No, I mean, you think about it, he's a veteran. He's not a player that's out here like, I don't know. They remind me sometimes of Newcastle in the sense that no one really expects them to do as good as they do.
I was gonna say Brighton. Would it be a far-fetched thing to say that Brighton's the English version of Ajax, just the way they produce talent?
I would say the English version of Ajax is probably Chelsea because they probably had the best academy out of all of them.
Yeah. It's difficult because Chelsea's already a big club like that. Ajax is big, don't get me wrong, in the Champions League, but
no, of course. I mean, sure, you could say that. You could say that Brighton does that. That's not a bad comparison to make. I just say Chelsea because you think of players that came through their academy.
For sure.
And
no,
not saying that they were all hits, but you know,
Okay.
someone that I think is gonna break the market as well. This is completely unrelated, but I just thought of it. Declan Rice. Imagine he goes on the market. He's gonna shatter the English market.
Oh, it's just because it's first of all that's English tax and what's it called? Yeah, it's basically like Premier English tax because
Hey, but don't sleep on Declan Rice though.
no.
Have you seen
But okay,
the
okay,
numbers
but
he puts up?
okay, but is he as good as Frank De Jong? Is he as good as Busquets?
That's fair. No,
For,
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying like I also think that it's hard for him to show his game.
is he good as he's as good as Kimmich?
Well, no, I'm not saying he's the best, but I'm saying yes, English tags, and he's a young, promising player. Let's remember that it's also harder for a midfielder of his style of play to show his class in a poor team. Like
facts.
He's not a winger or a striker that can just score goals or do crazy tricks.
No.
It's harder for him. Like
No.
he's got and a lot of the blame can go his way too.
Yeah, true. Right. But moving on, a transfer that before we leave the Prem is Sabitzer to Manchester United. Oh, wrong one. But Sabitzer to Manchester United. He left Bayern. Now I think this is because Manchester United they basically need midfielders.
Right.
Eriksen's injured now, so
yeah, exactly. With the Eriksen injury, you just basically need to bolster that midfield, and just add bodies because you can't be running on Fred, Casemiro, and Bruno basically.
McTominay.
No, I'm pretty. Is McTominay injured? I thought he got injured.
I don't know. I just know I'm a hater.
But that's basically it. Like, hey, I actually think that hey, this is a good move. It's not for crazy amount of money. Once again, it's just like the Jorginho move. He's there to basically add bodies to that midfield. He has some very good qualities. He can press. He can tackle. He's good. He's good on the ball. Yeah. Maybe not as good as Eriksen, but he's decent on the ball.
I mean, I think Sabitzer is a criminally underrated player.
Criminally underrated.
I think when you look at the past few years, what he was doing for Leipzig, and then yes, for Bayern, he's been
okay.
But you look at him, and he's a good player when he plays for Austria too. I see him, and I'm like, oh, this guy's not bad. And I think it's also a similar story to Arsenal. Man United need depth, especially in the midfield. Their midfield depth is horrendous.
Yeah. On top of that, when you're playing in basically that 4-2-3-1 formation, you're using what's it called, two CDMs and like one attacking. And what you're sometimes doing is you have those two wingers basically on the flanks. And if some of your midfielders get injured,
You're screwed.
you're screwed basically, because like a CDM is like a very specific position that you have to play. It's not like a midfielder.
And to be fair, I think Casemiro has done a phenomenal job with them
Cas-
this season.
yeah,
Been a rock.
Casemiro has transformed the Man United.
I mean, not
team.
that I expected any less from him. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Like he's been such a world class player for so many years now. But
Yeah,
still, to see that, I was surprised.
yeah.
The main thing I want to say about the Sabitzer transfer to Man U is this is how you do, a panic buy or a necessity buy. The way
Yeah.
Chelsea was spending all that money. Man United, they looked at what they needed. They needed that midfield depth, and they went out. They went to a guy that's playing at a top team that's not getting the minutes that he wants. Get him on a loan. They could have 30 to 40 million to get him, but instead they said, you know what? We've got a guy that's injured, Eriksen. We can get this guy on loan for the rest of the season, and then Eriksen will still join us, and we'll still not have to spend all that money. I think this is a great transfer by Man United.
Let me ask you though, because I don't have the numbers with me right now. But was there an option to buy on this loan for Sabitzer?
No, I think it's loan.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fine.
What was the fee? Let me actually pull it up right now.
I don't wanna like lie, but I think it was close to the 40s, no?
The 40s. Let me see. No buy option. Let me see.
There was no buy clause in his contract. I'm pretty sure I read that.
Yeah, no buy clause. I think it's on the free then.
Yeah, it's just
Great business.
Yeah, exactly. Just straight loan.
Really, fantastic. It's a definition of a win-win. The player's getting minutes and you're getting a player.
Yeah, exactly. Fantastic.
One team, real quick. I know we want to move on from the Prem, but I wanted to say something else real quick. From Spurs, one thing that really surprised me was Danjuma like not going to Everton and ended up at Spurs. I thought that was hilarious. The way he was about to sign for them.
That's right.
I mean, I think it's a decent signing for Spurs. They could use some of the depth attacking, but they definitely need to play that in midfield. We also did get Pedro Porro. After the deal almost falling through because Sporting decided to add some weird clauses at the end after like there was a full agreement and whatever. I mean, again, I think it'll be good for Spurs. What they mainly need though is a center back and a midfielder.
Well, we'll definitely see if Spurs manage basically like to add that to their team. But moving from the Prem, we're going to Germany. We are going to Bayern Munich. Huge signing. I think it was, I believe, 70 million. Cancelo to Bayern Munich.
I was surprised.
Exactly. I was completely surprised by this transfer. Number one, because he is such a good player, Cancelo. He's a fullback. He's a key player for Pep. And on top of that, this was a complete out of the blue. This is mid-season. I'm wondering why. Exactly. Why didn't Barcelona bid for him? But then reports came out that Xavi, it wasn't his first choice. I'm like, okay, it wasn't your first choice.
And the reason why I agree with Xavi and the reason why I understand Guardiola let him go. I mean, listen, we don't know the full story, nor are we going to know it. I believe there was some disagreement between the two. There was a kind of sort of a falling out. Yeah. But on top of that, City needs to upgrade their defense. As weird as it sounds, because they have good defenders, their fullbacks become a problem for them because Cancelo, he's insane going up, but defensively, sometimes he's a liability. And, for Guardiola, that's a problem because Guardiola wants a team that can play well from the back and keep the shape, like relatively, and I have, because sometimes Cancelo almost felt like he had a free role. You see him in the midfield, you see him out wide in his position. And listen, what he does so well, which is crossing the ball and creating chances. We saw that with the passes he's given Haaland, but I understand why Guardiola let him go. I just hope it's not a Sané type of situation because I thought Sané leaving City was, in my opinion, I don't think that was the best deal from Guardiola.
Mm-hmm. One thing about the Cancelo deal is even though I think he's a very, very good player, he's a player who's extremely out of form.
Yes, that's true. He's been horrible this season.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola has favored playing Ake as a left back, who's not even a left back.
It reminds me of what we do with Conde and sometimes with that.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, in the Portuguese national team in the World Cup, Cancelo didn't play that much. He's a player who's in a lot of form, and he wanted to play. He wanted minutes. A big fee from Bayern, 70 million. Now, do you think he's gonna flop? Because
No, I think he'll do good.
because there are some critics that he only works in Pep's system.
No, I don't think so. I think Bayern will give him a better chance for him to show his style, because also I don't think Bayern are such a demanding team tactically. Like
Right.
what they do right. Like Bayern counterattacking is absolutely filthy. They have the players for it, and they're a gegenpressing counterattacking team essentially. That's how we'll best define them, and I think Cancelo can do fine there. He's just gotta know when to keep his shape, but I love him. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, I think this move just makes a lot of sense for both teams. Bayern Munich gets a guy. For Man City, Pep, like I've said in that one clip, Pep is ruthless. Pep is going to switch you out whenever he sees fit. I have a lot of respect for Pep as a manager. I know he's had his
manager of all time.
But the way he thinks, the way he looks at the game, he's able, he's going to grab you, and he's going to, if you play the way he knows you can play, he's going to get the most out of you.
Look at Kimmich. Look at Joshua Kimmich.
Yeah.
Right, and then look at now, like we were saying, Ake is playing in that back line, and he's been good. There was a transfer rumor for Anthony Robinson, the American. It didn't go through, but everybody was thinking Anthony Robinson in that Man City back line. But I believe that if he listens to Pep and he really puts Pep's coaching into the game, he might work. But that may be.
Look, I'm honestly like, I understand why people are critics of Pep Guardiola, but listen to this. Everyone hated him when he let go of Joe Hart, and they didn't do bad without him either. I was a big fan of Joe Hart, and I remember the memes of him in the 2016 Euros.
Exactly. Give me the fucking ball.
Give me the effing ball. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I think what Guardiola does, he does best, which is change the team around when he feels it's right, and I think it's worked for City. We've seen this with him bringing in players. Well, obviously, Haaland is a no-brainer, but we see how he strengthens the team. And I think defensively they gotta opt for another center back. I think Akanji's not bad. Laporte, Laporte has been injured, no? Or has he?
Yes, I think both Laporte and Diaz have been injured so far this season.
Right, that's a big issue because they're both rocks for him.
Uh-huh.
But they strengthen those two things. Like they just strengthen their center backs. It's over. I mean,
because Man City's, I think, biggest weakness so far this season is that back line. Because for example, because when you think about that front line, Haaland is scoring goals for fun. He's on 25 goals. That's insane. The amount of goals that Haaland has been scoring. He's definitely going to break that Premier League record.
No, I don't think so. I don't think this season.
You don't think this season?
I don't know.
You're saying he's not scoring. How many more? Like, how many more does he need?
I think he needs
like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think, bro, we're halfway this season.
I don't know. I mean, I'm saying it's likely that he will, but I don't know if he will. Is what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he'll do it this season.
Alex, he's definitely breaking.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take. I'm so sorry.
It's completely fine to say that.
Listen, I'm a huge fan of Erling Haaland.
Clip that.
He's one of my favorite players currently, but I don't know if he'll do it.
Alex, I'll tell you right now, you can clip this and put it on your Twitter. If he doesn't score 8 or 9 goals, if he doesn't break the record this season, I will buy you whatever Tottenham Hotspur jersey you want with whatever player you want. Like, I guarantee you he will break.
No, you're buying me 2010 World Cup Iniesta kit.
Iniesta kit.
I'm gonna make you waste money. Yes.
Relax.
It's a safe hit though. It's a safe hit for you. He's gonna get there.
No, bro. Like honestly, because when you think about it.
Expensive one too, dude.
Yeah. Yo, because like what's it called? Haaland has scored, I think, 25 goals in 20 games. We have to think
he's ruthless.
What? He has another 18 games left to score 8 goals. Like
I don't know the exact number, but it's in that ballpark. 8 or 9.
Yeah. Why? You know why? Because he's gonna hit a home run. He's gonna hit the goal record out of the ballpark.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Yeah, and the Premier League has never seen like this amount of goal scoring record before. Basically making the Farmers League, because we've heard this constantly like before about like the Premier League fans complaining like, oh my god, Messi and Ronaldo wouldn't be scoring this amount of goals in the Premier League. That's complete BS.
Ronaldo scored that many goals in the Premier League. What do you mean?
The difference to all those arguments though is they're in second place. They're not even league leaders right now.
Yo, okay, so I want to get your thoughts on this. is Haaland. Does Haaland make Man City play worse?
No,
Is
Oh,
Haaland?
that's stupid.
no,
That's
no.
such a
That's
dumb argument. You want him to defend? You want him to create chances in the midfield? No, he's scoring goals.
yeah.
He's
Well,
doing his job. If it was okay, if it was I don't know if he was a midfielder and he was losing the ball a lot or not creating chances, that's different. Or if it was a center back,
Here you go.
he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
It's very simple. Before we even got onto the topic of Holland, what were we saying was Man City's biggest weakness?
their
back
defense.
Fans.
Has Holland ever played a single minute in the back line of the Manchester City's defense?
Exactly. And that's exactly what I say. I think Haaland. I think Haaland's the signing of the season.
I think that saying that is just a hater argument. That just means you hate Haaland and you hate City.
Yeah, exactly.
Just say that. At that point, just say that you hate the team.
Yeah.
That's so stupid.
A fan or a Man United fan? Because
exactly, you have to, because like Haaland has been scoring goals for fun.
Do I think he's a signing of the season? Yeah, by far.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people mention Casemiro.
No.
The thing with
Casemiro's having an insane impact, but I can't give it to him because
once again,
if you want to do it on the basis of how much you help your team do well, I guess you can give it to Casemiro because he has more of an impact minute by minute, right? He's doing more actively, right? Casemiro's not gonna score a hat trick, but he's gonna win the ball back. He's gonna distribute.
But you can say like, hey, look at where Manchester United was last season. Look at where Manchester
That's
United
what I'm
now,
saying. If you want,
and the way the team has improved.
Yeah,
and
but
then
you
when
can't
you look at Haaland. When you look at Haaland,
say that was Casemiro.
Haaland was competing.
But you know why that argument
and now
is
they're in second. So
that's fine.
I'm playing devil's advocate right here because I think Haaland is the signing of the season.
But you know why that's not a valid argument? Because Manchester United as a whole have changed coach and they changed a lot of tactics and they're using new players. Harry Maguire isn't playing. Rashford is in form. Eriksen is having a good season.
This discussion that we're having is the same exact discussion baseball fans have when they were talking about the MVP last year. You got Aaron Judge, who hits all these home runs, and then you got Shohei Ohtani, who hits that same amount of home runs, but he also does this, that. I think just the numbers that Haaland are putting up, you cannot.
Yeah, you can't defeat.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Like, that's cool. Like, Casemiro's doing miracles for United, but I'm sorry, unless he wins them the Premier League, unless Man United win the Premier League or win a major tournament,
right?
I'm so sorry. It's gonna be Erling Haaland.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Well, what do you want him to do? I mean, is that City have such a good problem up top? They have Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland.
Yeah.
Do you know how insane that is?
It's crazy. Their strikers they're basically set for the next couple of years.
Let's put the final nail in the coffin on this discussion on the signing of the season. You ready?
Yeah.
Anthony Gordon.
Casemiro, $100. Erling Haaland, $60 million. That's just another. Haaland was $60 million worth in value.
And Casemiro is how much?
$70 million.
Yeah. The only thing that you could say is like the wages with the wages Haaland is on, but still.
But let's look at what he's doing.
Yeah.
Doing, bro.
Exactly. I think it's insane.
If Abdul was scoring hat tricks for fun like that for my team, I wouldn't be complaining.
All right, now guys. Now basically, like, to round off this like transfer deadline, we're now moving away from Germany. I think we both agree that I think Cancelo is going to be a fantastic buy for Bayern. I think that he's going to be great. He's a player who's going to be basically adding some attacking talent, basically with the injury of Mazraoui on that right hand side, and with Pavard, I think, also being injured. They needed some a player there, some bodies there, and Cancelo was a great option. We're gonna have to see how they do against PSG because that's like the big test. Can this Bayern team?
I'm so sorry, but PSG slapping Munich around so hard is not even funny.
Okay,
guys, how Messi's playing right now?
Guys, we will be making a UCL preview, and we're basically going to be like previewing every single game and giving our thoughts on that. We'll basically save that for like another day. But we're now moving away from Germany and we're going to Spain, to our beloved Barcelona. Now, first of all, exits. We had basically Memphis Depay leaving. We basically mentioned that like a couple episodes ago. To Atletico Madrid. I think exactly 2 or 3 mil. I think it was reported 3 mil, 4 million, like 1 million, I don't know, something like that. We had Hector Bellerin leaving today, a player who came in for free in the summer. He had I don't think he was the best.
At Barcelona than Bellerin did.
Yeah. He basically like gave minutes in the Copa del Rey, rested a couple players. Wasn't amazing. Well,
I mean,
wasn't
but I don't think he was supposed to be. I think that's what his job was.
yeah,
I think his job was to be average and just fill up the space. If we need him, we need him. Like,
and we basically made a profit. We sold him for 1 million euros, I think, with another additional million euros in variables.
Yeah.
Now, I completely agree. I think this is a player who, if this was in 2015, we would be having much higher expectations because back then Hector Bellerin was playing for Arsenal and he was touted to be like one of the best fullbacks, the best right backs in the world. But
a big what if he had been like that.
A big what if, but injuries, they basically harmed his career. And
I think it also killed his confidence too.
Yeah, exactly. Just coming back from that and like issues at Arsenal and everything. But I think this is a perfect like a good deal. Came in for free, get some money. He gave us some minutes, and we leave. And now to replace him, we are linked with MLS right back Araujo. Let me pull up his what's it called? His full thing. Julian Araujo from LA Galaxy. It's going to be a 4 million euro fee package.
Did it go?
Any relation to our center back or no?
Yo, Vinicius is gonna have a nightmare. 2 Araujos to deal with in the El Clasico.
He's living in a 2-dad household right now.
Exactly, bro. It's gonna be crazy. Also, guys, we got basically matched in the Copa del Rey against Real Madrid. So we're gonna be having 3 El Clásicos in basically like a month.
Crazy.
And it's gonna be popping 5 El Clásicos in one season.
Listen, that just means it's time to slap him again.
So exactly. You're exactly right. Guys, time to basically go in and basically beat them again. That's what we do. But what are your thoughts on Julian Araujo?
I'm not the biggest fan of the move. I don't know him. I don't watch him play. I just hope for his sake as a player in his career that he is good enough to break it and make it at Barcelona. Because if not, I feel like this is a move that can seriously derail his entire career. But I'm going to go into it with an open mind, watch him play. And I obviously am a Barca fan, and I obviously hope he succeeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I'm not familiar with this game. And
you're not familiar with this game.
Yeah. I'm not really familiar with him. I'm not a big MLS watcher, but still, I keep tabs, and we'll see. Hopefully, again, I just want the teams to succeed, and if it takes him to play good to do that, then that's what I want.
Yeah. Once again, my thoughts. It's basically a small fee.
Yes, low risk, low reward. We're not getting
exactly low risk and high reward, basically. Because if he turns out to be a fantastic buy, we only paid for 4 million. And that's in the position that we desperately need in that right back spot. We're gonna be seeing. We're gonna be seeing. We still have to see if this transfer goes through, because it's depending on the MLS once again, to see if it goes through. But once again, he has our full support. Let's see what he can do in La Liga. But the only doubts is going from the MLS to Barcelona is a huge jump. It's a massive jump. We're gonna have to see if he's able to be if he's gonna be able to handle the pressure of playing at such a big club, and especially playing at Barcelona, because it's gonna be a big ask.
That was another reason why I do hope his transfer succeeds, because I'm a guy that I'm a big fan of American soccer, U.S. soccer, and that all begins with the MLS.
Yeah.
So if the transfer succeeds, the MLS grows more in reputation. So obviously, I hope. But screw him for not picking the U.S. and picking Mexico.
But now, moving away from Araujo, right back, Amrabat. Now, this was I would think a player that went under the radar for
we
basically.
know how good he is.
for basically many clubs, because he had a fantastic World Cup for Monaco, and he basically I think he made everything possible to be able to join Barcelona, but unfortunately it did not go through. It basically, like, for Fiorentina, they just couldn't find a replacement, or something about financial fair play, and this is why Barcelona couldn't have signed him. But once again, Fiorentina wouldn't accept the buy option, the option to buy in that clause, and Barcelona cannot proceed with obligation or permanent deal. This is reported from Fabrizio Romano. Now, would you have liked Amrabat to join the club?
100%.
Yeah, bro, that's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. He's such a solid player. He will be just what we need in that midfield.
Yeah, add legs, add some basically replace Busquets in that midfield. Some add intensity, add legs.
Listen, if it takes two players, if it takes De Jong and him to be playing as the two pivots, so be it. You're adding so much quality to the team. I can clearly think of that play that he did against France, where Mbappe got by the entire defense, and he slide tackles him at the edge of the box.
Yeah,
And he gets
that plays on repeat.
He's such a world-class player. And listen, I think in the summer we'll make it happen for sure. I think he'll be one of the first signings we make, or just maybe one of the main ones. But listen, this is a player to look out for. No one can snatch him from us. Like, he's such a solid player, and I would hate to see him at any other team than Barca.
And I think, low-key, if we're going to force to now wait till summer, I think he'll even come to us cheaper. Maybe. We'll never see. We'll have to see.
Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Yeah. And he is a player who wanted to move to Barcelona. He basically posted on Instagram saying, like, hey, I want to go to Barcelona. He says, like, believe. Let me see what it says. Should be right here. Go for it now. Go for it now. The future's never promised. That is what was being reported right here. The future is promised to no one. And he's a player who did not show up to training, and he was excluded from the match day squad.
Could you go back to the feed real quick that you were showing?
Oh yeah, for sure. Let me just.
I don't know if it happens to you guys, but aren't there, like, some players and some signings, some rumors that we're linked with? As a Barca fan, when you're looking at it, you kind of just say, "Yeah, it just makes sense."
Yeah.
Wait, scroll down. Keep scrolling. Yeah, that's the one we need.
This one?
I had to make sure I saw the right thing. Anyway, no, for sure. I agree 100% with Kenny. A player like that just fits the team, and I have no doubt that in just a few matches, a few practices, you get used to Xavi. I mean, it's a hard style to play. I'm not saying it's easy, but with the work ethic that he has, with the type of player that he is, I think, again, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. The only issue I have with this signing is that the thing with buying players who have, like, a fantastic performance in one specific tournament, for example, in the World Cup, we have to see how they do outside of that tournament, for example, because James Rodriguez, he's a player who had a fantastic World Cup, who Real Madrid paid big money for, but didn't work out.
But remember the first couple seasons in Madrid, I thought he did well.
Okay, no, but did he live up to expectations?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, he didn't hit his full potential. I agree with you. It's true.
When he went to Everton,
Bayern. Yeah. Well, he went to Bayern. He did good too, though.
Right. But even with Everton, like, he was a really good player. I feel like if after that World Cup, if he would have gone to, like, where he was at Monaco, let's say he went to, I don't know, what was, like, a good but not great club at that time in the 24 Chelsea. I don't know, Chelsea. If he would have gone to Chelsea, he would have been amazing. I think, in my opinion.
It's possible. I don't know. It's like, it's one of those what ifs. But I don't watch Fiorentina. I don't watch a lot of Serie A, but I watch the big matches, the big teams. I don't watch Fiorentina, to be fair. I'm not gonna tell you I watch them every weekend. But there's a reason we were interested in him before the World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, we're not just gonna look at a random and say, yeah, he's kind of good. I like him. Like,
well, I personally didn't hear anything about him before the World Cup.
There were rumors, and other teams in Europe, I believe Chelsea, Spurs, they were also interested in him. So
he was the only outside of Hakimi and Ziyech from that Morocco squad that I knew before the World Cup. I don't know.
Oh, and Bono. I knew Bono.
Oh yeah, Bono, who plays for Sevilla. But hopefully this is a transfer that we can basically go through, and basically reinforce and add to the squad in the summer when we believe that Busquets will leave. Once again, we have to see what basically Xavi wants to do with the squad, if he wants to renew Busquets or not, and if Busquets wants to stay. And then also we're going to be hunting for a right back. If Araujo doesn't work out, we're going to be linked with Pavard from Bayern, which doesn't fill me the
I'm not
greatest
a
of
fan. I'm
confidence.
not a fan.
That's one that
And,
does.
yeah,
That doesn't make sense.
and Juan Foyth, who is Xavi's first choice apparently.
That's
From
actually
from
not
Villarreal.
a terrible signing. Like I saw him at Villarreal, especially during the
Yeah.
UCL, and
Yeah, the only thing is 40 million. I
yeah,
think that's a little.
I think he's a 25 million.
Yeah, 20, 25 million. I think that would be the perfect price. But guys, is there a transfer that you want to discuss before we round off the episode? Is there like a specific transfer you guys want to talk about before we round off?
Real quick, I know we didn't mention it. I don't think it's anything significant, but Anthony Gordon was an interesting one.
Anthony Gordon, I think to Everton, right?
Yeah, he was from Everton to Newcastle. It was
Uh,
funny the whole thing of him hating the club because they weren't
Uh,
all the memes.
uh,
I think it's good business for. Listen, Newcastle is going to be a scarier team next season. Remember that.
and they're a team who so far haven't spent a lot of money. For example, they're a team who has a lot of money. Who
Ironically,
when they spend,
they're
very
gonna spend.
careful.
Listen, they're gonna make the UCL and they're gonna spend big in the summer.
Yeah.
That's what it's gonna be.
Funny because once they make that money, they're gonna spend that money.
Listen,
Yeah.
they're not gonna. People had this misconception that they were all of a sudden a relegation fighting team was gonna spend 400 million out of the blue. No, that's not how that works.
Bobby's gonna go to a 17th, 18th place in the Premier League.
Exactly. That's Saudi Arabian marketing. That's not how that works. You first gotta. They bought the right players. They trusted the players they had, like Guimaraes, Dunk as well. I believe it's
Almiron or
Almiron as well.
there.
Listen, and they bought
Kieran Trippier.
Kieran Trippier, Nick Pope.
Pope.
I was always such a big fan of Nick Pope because of FIFA.
Yeah.
Like he was an OP.
Yeah, he was OP.
I followed him when he was at Burnley, and I think he's the right choice for them.
Right.
But yeah, I think it was also interesting how they didn't even go for a well-renowned manager.
Mm-hmm. But what's it called? They're doing really well. I believe they're third in the Premier League, right? Fourth.
No, third.
Third. Yeah.
Third.
United's fourth.
United fourth. Well, we'll basically see what they do in the summer. But guys, that was it for the transfer deadline day review. We went over Enzo, Cancelo, Amrabat, some Barcelona signings, Jorginho, Arsenal, and then we touched on different subjects. But as always, guys, I post a link on Twitter. If any of you guys want to join, you're always welcome to at Kool-Aid Podcast 10. Just click the link, and you basically like be in the discussion. But as always, like, subscribe, and comment. And we'll see you guys all in the next episode. Peace out, guys.